but there's only one thing that really broke in MMA over the weekend. So you got this incredible fight with Bisping and Henderson, and then a media report comes out that Conor McGregor was knocked out in training. And I tend to believe the report because usually where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm not report because I don't know, but I read this is all over the internet, and I have a couple of thoughts on it, and I would like to hear yours. But my biggest problem, Brian, is if that happened, we should never know who in his gym ratted him out for one and attempted to embarrass him. The second thing is, what kind of a training partner knocks somebody out? You know, back in the olden day, that used to be coveted, where you would go and brag if you got a takedown or a knockdown on a Randy Couture type guy. It's like, well, hey, in today's world, when we know all these bad things that come with concussion and head trauma, you got to have a partner that you can trust. So first off, if he's got a partner that's throwing the kind of punches that can put him down, that's not great with me. And second off, if that guy is then going and telling media as a way of putting his own name over, that's doubly worse with me. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think it's ridiculous. I think whoever that person is, not only do they need to go public with who it is, but they need to make sure that other gyms in that area, if they were training in America, if they were training over in Ireland, people need to know. So this guy has to deal with that reputation now, because that is ridiculous that they would do that. One, if you weren't the careful training partner you need to be and you did that, you should be eternally sorry and trying to make it up to him. But then you had the character flaws. I mean, just disgusting to go and report it publicly. What a jerk. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Because now Mark Henry is the kind of coach who coached Eddie Alvarez. This guy, I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of work he does. He's up all night watching film. You got to see the text message he sends his fighters. Huge text messages with technique in there. And he texts them the video clips of the exact clip he's talking about. Every time this guy throws this punch, we need to be doing this, so that they're constantly thinking it, so they're constantly visualizing what they need to be doing. He's taking an NFL type of film study approach to mixed martial arts. And when he gets this information, he's going to use that psychologically to give more and more confidence to Eddie Alvarez. He's going to back, Eddie bragged about all the sparring he did before RDA. You bet Mark Henry's got him sparring with the appropriate guys so that Eddie's not taking damage to get ready for this fight. So I think that's a big deal. I want to know who that fighter is, so that fighter is to carry that reputation as being a rat for the rest of his career.
Yeah, see, I fully agree, and I don't like that. I can remember back again, to go back to the pioneer days. Mark Coleman had won the UFC. It was still tournament format. He had a super fight. He beat Dan Severn. Mark Coleman was universally known as the baddest dude in the world. And he went over to Brazil to work on his skills to try to learn some of these submissions. And now it's hard for people to relate because now there's a jiu-jitsu gym. You can find them. They're all over the place. But at that time, you really couldn't. I mean, these really were secret techniques. Now the secret's out, but they were secret. Mark Coleman gets on a plane. He goes over to Brazil. They absolutely dominate him, but that's what he's there for. He's trying to learn simple arm locks and what's a Kimura? How do you even say Kimura? He's in this different time. So they run him through, and then, of course, they go to the media and go, I tapped him out 5 times, and I tapped Mark out 3 times. And so the media picked up on all of it and was just ready to anoint these people that submitted him in a practice room during a workout, during a training session, as the new UFC champion. The media was getting ready to do that. That's how irresponsible they were. So Mark had to come out and lie and go, no, I was never tapped out. And I'm looking at it going, yeah, I see why you have to cover yourself, Mark, but the bottom line is that's why you're in practice. I mean, that's the whole reason you got on a plane and went there, was so you could get tapped out over and over, learn some of those moves, and bring them back here. I guess where I'm trying to connect here, Brian, is people do see that at times as a victory in the practice room. It's like, man, that's just the opposite. That's a terrible thing to do to your partner. And then it's an even worse thing to go and try to get your own name over. And Conor's a very generous guy. So if you're sparring with Conor, you're getting a paycheck. Not all of us can say that. Most of us are just helping one another out. Conor's paying you. So, I mean, it is betrayal on the highest of level for multiple reasons, and I do not like it.
No, I can't stand it. Dan Henderson knocked plenty of people out in practice by accident. He's just so powerful, he can't help himself. I remember a guy shot a takedown on him. He sprawled and threw an uppercut, knocked the kid clear out, and broke his nose. And Hendo never told anybody. He never bragged about it. And that's why we love the guy so much. He never mentioned anything. He was sorry about it. Buy the guy dinner. Buy him a ton of dinners,
Sure.
That's what you're supposed to be in this sport. It's about getting better. Shame on that guy, and I agree. I mean, absolutely terrible.
Henderson used to. I was one of those guys. I've taken that H-bomb in practice, and he doesn't say much. His apologies aren't great, but you know what he's trying to say. Hey, are you okay? That's a big deal for Dan to stop and check on you. That means, hey, I'm really sorry. Excuse me, Brian. I remember the day Randy. Dan is notorious. He's missing all of his front teeth. Well, those front teeth all came out with one shot. Randy Couture hit him in the mouth one day and broke like a row of teeth out. So in fairness to Henderson and all the guys that he did catch in practice, he was never upset with Randy. He's like, oh, that was a good shot. And that was the end of it. So he takes it as good as he gives. I guess that's the point that I've got. All right. Absolutely. I know you've got a commercial break coming up. I am writing your name in, and I'm going to keep pressure on you because the country really does need you, my friend. Keep up the good work with the show, and don't steal too many of my listeners.
Hey, my pleasure. Don't steal too many of mine, brother. Thank you so much, everybody. Man, always a pleasure, Chael. Thank you so much for coming on.